Hi guys, welcome to the Spa Day podcast. So this podcast is going to be literally just yap. I'm going to talk to clients that you might recognize. I'm going to talk to fellow content creators, estheticians, just people in the beauty industry. This podcast is going to be just a lot of fun. We're just going to have fun, nothing controversial. We'll just talk about things and tell fun stories and hang out. It'll be like a big slumber party. That's the goal for this podcast. Put on your jammies, put on your loungewear, grab you some popcorn, like a fun little drink, and just hang out, and it'll be a fun time. But I just wanted to start out this first episode talking about my aesthetics origin story. So my origin story is somewhat crazy, kind of not though. I feel like a lot of it is based on luck. I did work very, very hard, and I continue to work very hard, but also I think I got really lucky timing wise on a lot of things, but we'll get into that. So I graduated high school in May of 2017. I am in Tennessee, and in Tennessee, where I'm from, we get a scholarship called the Tennessee Promise, and that scholarship is good for 2 free years of community college. So most people take advantage of that for at least a year. And almost every single person that I know pretty closely did a year and then dropped out, or made it to 2 and then dropped out. But I do know some people that made it all the way through and then transferred to UT and did that whole thing. That was my goal. Yeah, I didn't make it to that, but thank God. So I started at Pellissippi Community College. I did the whole like gen ed crap for a whole year. I did not care. I did not care to be there. I did not care to learn anything. I didn't care about statistics. I did not care about philosophy. That just was not my thing. I did not give a shite. I did not want to be there. That full year was probably one of the most depressing years of my entire life. I had no direction. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I changed my major, I think 2 or 3 times in the span of 2 semesters. And a statistics teacher literally told me that I wasn't going to amount to anything if I couldn't figure out statistics. So obviously I was not in a good headspace. And that guy can just kick rocks, but it's fine. I hope he's well. Anyway, so I stopped going to college. I stopped going to class probably the last 2 months of the last semester. I just didn't go anymore. That was an interesting conversation. My mom asked me, she straight up asked me, are you going back? And I was like, no. No. So that week I signed up for TSB, which is Tennessee School of Beauty, which is where I went to beauty school. And I applied, got accepted, scheduled my school tour and my meeting with Bobby. And I knew that after being in that college and then going into a beauty school where people are getting their hair done, people are getting facials, there's makeup going on, girl, I knew that I was in the right place because it just felt immediately better. I can't even express the relief that I felt. So I had my tour of the school. I saw where the aesthetic students were. I was very excited. I got really excited. I was like, oh my God, let's start now. Then I got put on a wait list and I couldn't start for a whole nother year. So in my general meeting with Bobby, she did mention that it was extremely hard to find a job as an esthetician in Knoxville and in the surrounding areas. And I feel like estheticians were definitely popular at the time. This was about 7 or 8 years ago, which is hard to believe. It was about 7 or 8 years ago. I feel like within the past 5 years, the industry has exploded even more. So at the time, they weren't taking as many students as they are now. And so that's why I had to wait a whole year to get put into class. And my class only had, I think, 14, 15 people in it. And I think they do more than that now. But I loved having a small class. And it was in the summer, so it was just honestly so fun. But the first 5 weeks of beauty school, we had to do MUD, which is makeup designery. We learned just like basic makeup stuff. And like I said earlier, when I wanted to do aesthetics, my main focus, like right at the beginning, was makeup. And I always was interested in makeup, and I was a competitive dancer growing up. So I always had stage makeup on. I would do like the girls' makeup on the dance team. Like, it was just something I always loved to do, and I always played with it and stuff. Of course, remember, this is like 2017, 2018 time, where 2016 makeup was like, you had the cut crease, the huge wings. So I was coming off of that high, obviously, and I could do makeup on myself really well. And I think I can still do pretty well on my own face. But when it came to doing it on other people, and I was being graded on it, suddenly I realized I wasn't as good as I thought I was. I wasn't bad. I was not bad. But I was comparing my work to other girls in the class, and I realized that there were some really talented people in my class, and I was not one of them. And I didn't really continue doing makeup after that. I did, I think, one bride, and she was really just my friend, and we had like the same face. So it was easy for me to do her because we looked very similar, and the eye shape and everything was very similar. So I could do her without a problem. But, yeah, no, I never continued that. But we learned how to do like airbrush makeup. I mean, it was really fun getting your makeup done every day. We did like avant-garde day where we would do like crazy makeup looks, and it was just a lot of fun, like really. So after that 5 weeks was up, we went on to the aesthetic side, and you had to do like several weeks of like learning the facial routine. And the facial routine that I do now is pretty much almost the same as what I learned in school, but of course I customized it and started doing my own moves and everything, but it's pretty similar to what I learned in school. And then you test out and you go to clinics. And while you're in the clinics, or clinical, I can't remember exactly what we called it, but you would take like real clients. So it was like a real working spa, of course, of students. So we wouldn't get paid, but we would get tipped. And I started buying my gas with all of my tips. So that was fun. But yeah, so I had some good experiences. I had some not so good experiences. It was school. We were learning. I had no idea what I was doing half the time. But that's just part of like learning school. So I graduated school. So in the state of Tennessee, you have to have 750 hours of aesthetics training in school to be able to test to get your license. So you take a written exam, and then you also do like a practical exam. If you're not an esthetician or do hair, nails, or anything in the industry, you may not know this, but the tests, like the practical tests that you take, are the dumbest things ever. Because yes, you do sanitation and you do like your blood spill situation. Like if you were to cut somebody, you have to have a blood spill kit, and like you bandage them up and everything. But you don't really do like a facial routine. Like you don't really do that sort of thing. It's hard for me to explain, and maybe one day I'll bring in my list, because I still have this big tub of like different things I had to have for my practical exam, and then I had like the list of the order of everything. So maybe I'll bring that in one day. But that was just crazy. But I took the written exam in November. So I graduated school in November of 2019. And then I took my written exam that same month. And then because of the holidays, I think it was hard to just like get in for the practical exam. So it was December 31st when I got licensed. Now, let me remind you of the date here, okay? It is December 31st of 2019. What comes to mind? What's looming? What's coming? So Bobby was right in the meeting when she told me that it was very hard to find a job, but I wasn't going to give up. I applied to Spa Visage. I applied to the Margaritaville Spa in Pigeon Forge. I applied to Riverstone in Pigeon Forge. I mean, I was applying to literally everything I could. But of course, every place needed experience, which is like pretty common in the industry. And that's why so many girls are going solo. So I also applied to be an Ulta skin therapist. So I had never heard of an Ulta skin therapist. I had no idea what it was, but turns out it's an esthetician that works in Ulta. In my Ulta, there was like a skin pod in the back corner of the store where they would give Dermalogica facials. And I was like, okay, well, this could work out for, temporarily because I know Dermalogica. That's what we used, one of the brands that we used in school. I was like, oh my gosh, okay, well, I can do that. And they were looking for a part-time esthetician to basically be there when their full-time esthetician wasn't. So I was working 2 days a week and then one afternoon at Ulta. I went in there and I showed face and basically, like, I didn't force them to hire me, but like I made sure they did, I started in February. It was the last week of February that I started. So I worked for 2 weeks. And then COVID happened. And that was March of 2020. They shut down their store. And at this time, I was still working at my other job that I had been working throughout beauty school. And for a couple of years before that, I was working at Bath & Body Works in Tanger and Sevierville. And I got like, they didn't let us go. What did they call that? Furloughed. We got furloughed I got furloughed from both. And so I was still getting a paycheck, but it wasn't anything, but we stayed home. And at this time I was 21 and I was still living at home with my parents. So I was like, screw it. So like literally I would wake up, go outside, sit on the porch with my mom, come inside, watch TV, and then lay in bed and eat. And that's all I did for that first 2 months of COVID. Now, where I am in Tennessee, things did start to open up quicker than they did other places. So in May, I heard that there was going to be a medical spa opening up in my town. And I am from Knoxville, but I pretty much have lived most of my life in Seymour, which is like literally like here's Knoxville, here's Seymour. They're next. If you live in Seymour, you basically live in South Knoxville. So I was like really excited because there wasn't anything like that near me. And I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta do this because I want to work. And I had an in. There was a lady doing marketing that knew my parents. And she pretended like she knew me and she got me the job. And I realized pretty quickly that it wasn't for me, but I stuck it out and wanted to make the best of it because I knew that it was going to be very hard for me to find a job. I'm not going to get too into detail about that whole situation because some of it's not pretty and I don't want to talk about it, but I was there for about 9 months. I started in May, I think, and then left in January, like the very end of January. So I was there for quite a while, and I did their marketing, even though I wasn't being paid for it. I was posting on their socials and everything. And at this time is when I did start posting on my Skincare with Morgan page. They didn't like that. But I was doing it so I could work because I wasn't supposed to be working unless I had clients. Well, I wanted to work, so I was trying to get clients. And so that's when I started my Skincare with Morgan page, which was a lot of fun. But I would just post like, hey guys, I'm at Blank and Medi Spa. I would run Facebook ads for like $5 or $10. And that's really how I started getting clients there. They would book through the link that I would put on there. It would take them to like the medical spa's website, and they would book there for their facials and stuff, which I can remember my first fully booked day that I did it myself. I think I had like maybe just 6 clients, but it was like back to back to back. And for me, I had never experienced anything like that before, aside from beauty school, because in beauty school we were booked like that, but it was just a different experience because I had done it myself and I was like, oh my gosh, I freaking did it. Well, they didn't like it. So that didn't last long. And short, very, 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 very long story short. I left and I had no plans. I didn't know what I was going to do. I had dreams and aspirations of opening up my own place, but it was kind of just in the back of my mind and not something that I thought that I would do, especially that soon. I don't think most people dream of working for somebody their whole life. That was definitely not one of my dreams, but I also knew that it was going to take a lot and it made me uncomfortable. And I didn't know if I wanted to do my own thing yet because I didn't really have regular clients, and that's obviously really important. So I just kind of put it off, but then I got, in a situation where I had to get out of there. And I had a friend, Alyssa, and from beauty school, and maybe we'll have Alyssa on. We can talk about that. But we got together the week before I gave the Medi Spa my letter of resignation, and I was like, girl, I'm going to work one more week at this place, but we got to get a suite somewhere and split days so we can both work, because she was also trying to leave her job at the time. And so we went around looking for suites in West Knoxville, and we found a place in Farragut, and shoo, she was expensive, but we were like, okay, look, it's a nice place. It's cute. We'll do it. Basically, we were just like, we have to do it. There's no other options. Like, we'll figure it out. I'll be fine. So I quit the Medi Spa job, took all of my things. Side note, girls, if you are at a spa, any kind of spa, and they want you to sign a non-compete or non-solicitation form, I think that was actually recently deemed illegal in the state of Tennessee. Make sure you look that up. I don't think that they can do that anymore. Just anybody can do that anymore. But so I signed a contract for this little suite, and it was a little itty bitty suite. I mean, like teeny tiny suite. And we were going to split the days. I think we did every day, but I would work in the morning or the afternoon, and then we would alternate kind of like weekly. So it was just a really rough, slow start, which I knew it would be, especially because I had just signed a non-solicitation form with my other place, and I wouldn't be able to contact my old clients. And which this period lasted for about 8 or 9 months, where I was just like not booking very many people. I would go like a few weeks with having like 1 or 2 clients, and I knew that wasn't going to be something that I could like continue doing. But I started doing the Facebook ads again. I was paying like $5 or $10 to get clients in, and that would help. So I was getting from like 1 or 2 clients to 3 or 4 clients a week, and that was getting a little bit more manageable. And then me and Alyssa decided to part ways. She got a place back in Rutledge, where she's from, so she was really far away from home, and like it wasn't worth it for her to be driving that far, especially because we weren't booking very much. But I then decided to start doing these events. So I would do, and I still kind of do them, I would do like themed facials. So for Christmas, I did a hot chocolate facial, and for like one day only, it would be like $40, a $40 facial, and you could book it, and it was like 45 minutes, I think. And then I would get tons of people that would actually book that, and then they would rebook while they were there. And I think that's what really first kind of popped my business off, was doing the events. I did a fa la 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 lash lift day. I did a pumpkin facial day, a pumpkin spice latte facial day. I'm pretty sure I did like a snowman facial or something. I mean, I was just doing some crazy stuff, and I was just doing it because I knew if I did like a lower rate, people would come in. And now I don't do that as much because I don't have to, but at the time I really, really wanted to do that, and they were rebooking for regular facials after that anyway, so it was like, score. But after that first year, around December of 2021, I decided to make a skincare TikTok. So I would post kind of like just facial video. I mean, low quality, y'all. Low quality facial content. And I mean, it looked bad. Like, sometimes I go back and look at it, I'm like embarrassed of how crap it looked. But also, this was 2021, and I feel like facial content was kind of far and few between at this point. So I posted a video of my brother's ex-girlfriend. I think it got like 1 million views. And I was like shocked. All I did was put in facial clips of her. I hit sound sync. I picked what I think it was like a Melanie Martinez song that just like popped up as like the recommended, and I just clicked it and it went with it, and it was so cute, and I posted it thinking nothing was going to come of it because I had been posting facial content for about 2 weeks at that point, like long form type content, and nothing was coming of it. Well, I got like 1 million views, and then I got 2 million views, and then I got 3 million views, and then I just kept getting views, and I was like, literally, what the heck? So I kept on posting. I would book models for, model facials. I would discount the rate and I'd post it. And then I got to the point where I was like, okay, I've got to move out of this suite. It's too small. I can hardly wax people because I felt like I had to like penguin step in between the wall and the massage table to wax people. And I found this place. I've not done a tour of it in a long time, but it has 2 like pretty large size treatment rooms in it. It has a full kitchen, a lobby waiting area, and a private bathroom. And I was like, slay. And it was the same price as the little salon suite I was in. So I was like, score. So I found this place, signed the lease, and I started filming with Jenna. Actually, the first video I did with Jenna was the first day that I was in this place, and that was my first mega viral video. It had like 12 million views, I think. And yeah, but that's basically it. I mean, I feel like ever since then, I've been pretty steady. And I mean, you see, fluctuations and schedules all the time. I mean, some days I kind of enjoy not being fully booked, but I think TikTok is, well, I know that TikTok is the reason I have what I do and how I got to this place. And I know that a lot of estheticians don't want to be content creators, and they feel like they're being forced to do that to get a clientele. And I don't really know how to respond to that. I don't know. But yeah, so I built my clientele from social media. That's all I did. I just continued to post. I would post like 3 or 4 times a day there for a while. And sometimes I still do that, but yeah. That's it. That's my aesthetics origin story. That was a very short version of it, and like, I mean, I guess I could really get into it on another episode if you wanted me to, but also I just don't want to talk about everything because it's just not the happiest of times throughout sometimes. But it still makes my stomach hurt whenever I think about my first like actual aesthetics job, like my Medi Spa job. And I'm so lucky to have gotten out of that situation because I know that a lot of estheticians feel stuck. But going solo was the best thing I ever did for myself. So if you can do it, do it. You can make your own schedule. You get everything you charge, which is amazing. But yeah. So next week I will be back with a special guest. We're going to talk dance moms. That is my favorite show. We're going to talk dance moms, a bunch of stuff. But yeah, if you like this video, if you like the podcast, make sure to let me know, leave a little comment. Thank you for listening. I hope I didn't bore you too much. I feel like I could talk for hours, so yeah. Thanks guys. Bye.